It is now September 24th. 10 years on YouTube. Incredible. This is actually incredible for me because I've never done anything for 10 years. Except for living. That's about it. Networks came about. Other similar networks like YouTube came about. And then the corporations, of course, moved in, bought up these little freedom satellites. 10 years on YouTube. Why is it important to celebrate? It's because of what YouTube represented. YouTube represented a freedom for socialists like myself to express ourselves without having to go through a corporate-controlled television station. And television stations were limited, and they were limited in cash, and even though there were cable networks, and a lot of cable channels, they were just, I mean, you could count them. But with YouTube channels, God knows how many there are of those. There must be in the hundreds of thousands by now. Perhaps millions of different channels with people who have things to say or things to show. So YouTube and the others who copied YouTube are the, in a sense, the new freedom from corporate control, because if you were on television or cable networks, you had to deal with the sponsors, and the sponsors dictated what could be played and what could be said, and that is not freedom. That is actually called corporate fascism. It's strong words, that's exactly what it is. And in the modern day, 2016 that we have here now, YouTube and the others are controlled by capitalism moving in on it again, because the capitalists have bought up all these internet channels, paid huge substantial cash to control YouTube and the others, and they need to earn a profit. And here once again we have corporate control over the programming. You either say what the sponsors want you to say, or we cut you off, that kind of thing. But that's not the case anymore. You're just dealing with pure cash flow, so that if you don't say what the corporate sponsors want you to say, then you don't get paid. So for socialists like myself, we don't care about that. We still have the freedom to say whatever we like and show whatever we like within reasonable and humanistic ideals. Meaning that showing yourself killing somebody is definitely not going to be broadcast on the internet on any of those channels, corporate sponsored or not. Which is the way it should be. So this is new for me as well. This is why I'm celebrating the 10th anniversary of YouTube. This is a pinnacle achievement, a moment for me. I've actually done something for 10 years. My channel had, I like to sit here and compare it to all the big channels, but you can't do that because the big channels are gaming channels for this time period. They weren't the gaming channels in the past, and it used to be blogs, and then it was comedy, then it became the gaming channels. But you can't really sit there and compare yourself or make a comparison, because if you don't fit that category, how could you possibly compare yourself or your popularity to what you're doing? My situation for my idea was that this would be a romance channel about one guy searching for romance, but with a specific type of woman, like an Asian woman, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Korean. And the idea that would ever be popular, definitely would not be popular. And I knew that from the very beginning. But I figured this would be a good way to learn how to do films, how to make movies, how to do like an inroad into something, but I didn't know quite what. So when I started off with, my expectations of popularity were normal. and where they should have been. And because it was not a comedy show, and I pick up mostly just the curious, or some people who actually want to learn from my experiences. The most popular shows that I had on YouTube were the ones where I was introducing or taking people through my personal day-to-day life and showing them, you know, this is what I do, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing today, this is the topic I'm talking about. That would have been a great direction to take, but I like to do things different. I like different things. You do the same thing over and over again, it just bore the absolute hell out of me. So I tried a little bit of everything. Everything from animation to tiny movie shorts, to love stories, to stand-up comedy, to relationship advice. And then I decided to branch out into other YouTube networks which are more successful than this one, regarding animation, animated films, and technical data. As far as this show went, I had a specific design that this Chan Nakajima show, which it was originally known as, would be a love story that would encompass 22 episodes, divided, and each episode divided into a separate part. Around the 11th episode, there would have to be a hookup, or everything would just come to a complete standstill until that actually took place. The 21st would, or the 20th or 21st episode would have been a marriage to an Asian girl, and the 21 or 20 and or 22 22nd episode would be the birth of the first child, and that would be the wrap-up of the entire series. So I had pretty much written out in a little handbook of topics and ideas, the direction I wanted to go in, how I wanted to do it, how many episodes, what would occur in each episode. Now, unfortunately, I reached season 10, and I've gotten absolutely nowhere in the 10 years. And so everything comes to a halt, and I'm on like a pause situation where what I'm doing is I'm just rehashing everything I did in the past with regards to lessons, but I'm improving upon those lessons and updating them to a more, updating them with the information I've learned since that time, just adding it all together. How did it all begin? Well, CTV News in Canada had run a report on something new that was hitting the Canadian internet, something called YouTube, and they started talking about what was going on YouTube and showing Canadians who were using YouTube. And I believe the wine cone, Tony Juan, I believe his name is Tony Juan, was shown a few times, and I decided, what is YouTube? And I looked it up, and it was from YouTube that I had met a girl by the name of young Asian girl by the name of Kathy, who ran a YouTube show called Kitty Cat. And so it's from talking with her that she suggested that, hey, you got a lot of great ideas, why don't you make your own YouTube show? And I decided I would take her advice, and because of Kitty Cat's advice, I started my own YouTube channel. And I wasn't sure what kind of things what kind of topics am I good at, what should I do here? And then that's when I think, well, the thing I love the most is the Asian woman. I think she's so awesome and beautiful that maybe I should cover that topic. And I'll just talk about a man's trip through romance with these girls. And that will be the only topic on there. And I figured, well, it doesn't matter if it has popularity or not, because a lot of these people weren't popular. They were getting maybe 400 hits per episode. And I figured, well, I could do both, maybe about 100 hits per episode. So it started. In 2006, September 24th, I began my YouTube show and called it Chan Nakajima originally, and then changed it to For Guys That Love Asian Women, The Impossible Dream. And I added the impossible because I had just, before I had met Kathy, I'd been trying to hook up with an Asian girl and could not do it. Something would always happen. They would have to leave me for somebody else, or some opportunity would come about. But there was always some force, some external, seemed like some type of spiritual force that was always getting in the way and dragging these girls away and keeping us from hooking up or ever being together. So that's why I added the term The Impossible Dream. It's just impossible to hook up with these girls. It was just so difficult, and it was so bizarre and weird. And it was the same way with trying to hook up with a white girl. When I went through that time period, every time, and I sat down one day and I wrote out all the names of these girls that I tried to hook up with. It came to the amount of 23. Then beside their names I wrote out why I didn't hook up with them, and for each and every one there was two reasons. They either moved away, and I'm talking about distances of anywhere from 300 kilometers away to a couple thousand kilometers away, or just as I'm about to involve myself with them, a guy will come out of nowhere and ask them to be his girlfriend, and she'll immediately say yes every single time. So then I switched over to the African Canadian woman, and there was always some guy hidden in the background somewhere that they weren't going to tell me about, and that would end in disaster. So then I finally said, well, I'm switching over to the Asian woman and sticking with her, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, and Korean, and that would be it. I wasn't going to switch back. And that always turned out to be, in all the attempts that I would make to hook up with them, it just would not work out. One right after the other, something would happen. So thus the name The Impossible Dream was added on to For Guys That Like Asian Women, The Impossible Dream. That Impossible Dream section was my personal story. But the For Guys That Like Asian Women, that was the advice, the lessons, and anything else that I threw in. So a special thanks to Kitty Cat for getting me on YouTube and for encouraging me to be there. My first stories on YouTube were a disaster. I would ship them away to YouTube on the format that they requested. These Windows video audio files, waves, and they would get to the YouTube garage, I guess they had their recording equipment in for the videos in 2006 in the fall and early, late winter, fall leading to late winter 2006, and the videos would get to YouTube in California. For some stupid and bizarre reason, you could see the picture, but you could not hear the sound. The sound just would not go through, and I wasn't the only one having these problems. They were having these problems all the way to Hawaii, clear across Canada, where people would download to YouTube, but the sound would not make it. So I I deleted and erased these videos. And I thought maybe I had created a defective video, so I had destroyed them all except for two. But that's how it started out. The first two seasons dealt with the lessons, mostly with the lessons that I had learned over the years, and I wanted to pass the information on. When it came to season 3, it was more for the search. Season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But you can see by the time I get to season 8, I was getting frustrated, and the beginning to get bored with it, wanted to quit actually. Could not quit because I had determined that there's only two ways to quit. Either you hook up and have your child, or you finish your trip by going to China, Korea, and Singapore, and then you can end it as a failure. Either two ways. You're going to fail or you're going to be successful. I still have to go to China, Korea, and Singapore before I can end this show. Now, as I said before, the original search started off in Halifax in 2006, and then in 2007 it moved to Toronto. From Toronto I moved to Calgary, back to Toronto, and then back to Halifax, and then from Halifax it was back to Calgary, and from Calgary to Vancouver, Vancouver back to Halifax again. I've also lived in Japan and Australia, all in the search for these beautiful Asian girls. And even though I had briefly had romantic encounters, they were just brief, distant, let's say, romances that just didn't quite work out because, as I said before, there's this curse that's the impossible dream, and as I was told by someone that you could call spiritually inclined, that there would only be one girl for me on this world, and I had to go search for her, and that all the others would be driven away. This is like, I don't know if you can call that a curse or not, but that's definitely what it felt like. So I continued to search, because I'm presently with somebody who wants it kept, doesn't want to be in the public eye so much, but doesn't mind me talking about her on occasion or showing a few photos, but doesn't really want to be involved with it too much, which I'm okay with. I can get around that. But this is a relationship that's, I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere, because of she likes smoke weed and I'm against pot and smoking of anything, and I don't like, I mean, she doesn't have tattoos, but I don't like tattoos, and because it looks like some type of skin disease in your wife at a distance. For some reason tattoos look really good on a guy, but on a woman it just looks, I just don't understand why I feel that way, but it looks like they're deformed in some way, like they have leprosy or something. As I mentioned, the production value I wanted for this was to be similar as a television show. I was going to take this and make it as professional as I could, and base it upon what I've seen of television shows. Make this into a documentary. And the theme music that you see here is mostly done by the Bangladesh Mud Servers, which are a renegade rock band of socialists like myself. Socialism believes in equality for everyone. Everyone should have a job. Everyone should be paid the same, exactly the same. Government needs to have more control, but it needs to be more diversified, where you don't have a leader, a single leader, but you have a multitude of leaders. And much like the original communities where the elders, not one person, but the elders ran the community, it's based upon that. Corporations are not allowed, they're exiled, they're against the law. The mom and pop industries run by individuals or families are encouraged and blessed by the government and the people, and they're the main economic powerhouse. Corporations are kept out of everything. I mean, corporations, to start a corporation is a major offense, that kind of thing. But to start your own company and have your family start their own business, every effort be made to make you fit in or help you fit in so that you can be successful and succeed. That's the socialist economy. Um, but anyway, the Bangladesh Mud Servers are a anti-capitalist band, and the music that comes from them is very anti-capitalism. It's very raunchy. It's very angry music, and this is the band that started the For Guys That Like Asian Girls Impossible Dream series. And the band that I work with, was a part of it. We have since disbanded. Last year was our final year to be together, and the identities of the members, the membership in the band is kept private and secret so that they would not be fired if their corporate bosses found out that they were actually in this band. The band comprises of a female drummer, a female guitar player, the main singer, which is me, and there's a bass player who's Japanese, and there's a white keyboard player, and occasionally we have an Afro-Canadian come in who plays a variety of different instruments. So the protest band has since disbanded. We got so busy with other projects, but we do come together. We are going to continue to produce music for this series. It's not really hard to do if you got an internet, or just go visit, gather in one place, just like an anniversary meeting or something like that. I look quite deceitful and shabby when I first started off in YouTube, and I have lost all the red hair in my beard and mustache. It became blonde. Thank God. I really, really hated it. It came from the Spanish side of my family. Myself being Spanish, Chinese, Swedish. Beyond that, I haven't really aged that much in looks. My hair actually looks better than it did originally, and it got better and better and better because I think it thinned out. It was just too thick in the back. Really super thick. And it was made up of blonde and black and dark brown and red, and it's just a mess like you wouldn't believe. And of course some of it would be entangled and the other wouldn't, and I love being around the ocean, so that would make things even worse because you'd end up with dregs. I kept dregs in my hair for a long, long time, and now I'm to a point where I'm changing my look again, making it more business-like, because I've decided to stop the search for a while and just engage in making money. I love the opportunity YouTube presents. They've been very fair with everything they've done, and there is one video that they did ban where I was talking about sex, how sex is performed, the female anatomy. I think it was mostly about, and it contained information on breast cancer and just how bad it is. I mean, guys, you men out there, you don't know how bad breast cancer can be, because the woman's breast tissue, the breast tissue actually goes into the woman's arms, goes into her armpits, goes into her sides, goes up into her neck. And then when a woman gets a mastectomy because of cancer, that tissue is removed, and the deformity is just incredible. And I covered that topic as well as the female sexual anatomy, so guys could learn about these things. And that got banned by YouTube. I am going to show it again as a right to know. Do you think, question video, do you think this should have been banned? Is this the type of information that you don't want? And let you guys make the decision. Give you the opportunity to exercise your freedom of knowledge, because it wasn't a bad video. There was nothing explicit or dirty about it. But in Canada, they ban videos left and right over almost anything dealing with sexuality at all. And I believe it wasn't so much due to a human being banning it as it was to a robot banning it, because YouTube uses robots to ban videos, and they base it upon keywords that are put in the descriptions and in the title and in the... That's how these robots find the videos that they should be banned, and they'll ban it straight out. They can't watch the video, but they base it on those keywords and they will ban the video for that. And that's what happened with this one single video that got banned from YouTube. The animated cartoons. Well, I decided, since I can't hire actors and thespians and bring them into the series and have performances acted out, and it didn't make any sense to do so anyway because it would make it look kind of fake. So I decided to employ animated characters. Two of the characters that look like bugs are green aliens. They're what is it, Dweeb and Quiff. Quiff having the antennas and Dweeb having the googly eyes. These are actually owned by a cartoonist, a magazine cartoonist who lives in Calgary. I bought the rights to these to use these characters because I had promised to turn them into something more than just magazine characters, and of course I haven't done that yet, but they do have their own show on YouTube, but it's like that's okay, but it's not that great. I wouldn't say it's spectacular. And I still use those characters today, although I just don't have time to do the animation. I got really busy in 2015, 2016 doing other things and other projects. Originally I decided that the series would run as just lessons and trying to hook up, the dating process, a few interviews, done it all. Then when, as I mentioned before, when I got up to about season 8, it was like, oh, I'm just tired of this, I just want to quit, but I can't, because once I make a promise, I can never break that promise, unless the person that I made the promise to goes in another direction. Well, that's fine. I'm not obligated. I'm at the point, as I mentioned before, where I'm at a complete standstill. And I'm just rehashing the old stuff, as I said before, rehashing the old stuff and just adding up, updating it. That I reached the 10th year, and I'm very surprised. I thought maybe 4 years, that's what I was thinking. 4 years for this series on YouTube, and then I'll go on and try other things. I've already gone on and try other things, and they're very successful. They are still on YouTube. You may know about the Canada Information Channel and the Vault Videos, which is now Tales of the Alternate Universe, where I'm going to put my just stories that I want to do, animated stories that I want to do. But so where do I take it from here? Well, pretty much I'm just sitting and waiting for her to show up. I've tried everything I could do, and that's about it. It's gone as far as I can actually go. So I have had many dates and many relationships, but nothing permanent. Just as the curse, which I actually should talk about. My relationship seemed like it was on a firm footing, a forever type of situation when I met this really beautiful and perfect girl I wanted to be with. But tragedy broke us apart, and I lost her, and that's when it pulled me out of this downward spiral of self-destruct. Someone in the spiritual know had mentioned that there is a girl for you somewhere out there, but you need to find her. And all others will be driven away. And I think that actually has come true, because it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't somebody like me be with somebody now? Unless that situation where, unless that, I don't want to call it a curse, but it sure feels like it. But anyway, so where do we go from here? Well,
Brandon Lee did this movie called The Crow. And in it, this little girl talked about the agony of loss. And it's like she said, it's like the little girl said, can't rain forever. So that's the story of me and Pui. You know, I still have the good memories. And I'll never forget them, and I'll never forget her. But as they say, life goes on, huh? Onward and upward. So where do we go from here? We'll see.
If the people we love are stolen from us, the way to have them live on is to never stop loving them. Buildings burn, people die, but real love is forever.
And that's it. So that's the first 10 years. I think I pretty much covered everything. And here's to another 4. You know what I mean when I say that. I gotta keep a promise. Promise made can never be broken.